Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to find the class width, the class boundaries, class midpoints, finding the mean of the frequency distribution, finding the variance, and the standard deviation of the given frequency distribution table. We have a column listed as savings and a column listed as frequency. Each of these are called classes. So 0 to 19,999 is called the first class. We have the second class, 20,000 to 39,999. Third class, fourth class, fifth class, sixth class, and seventh class. The first thing you want to find is the class width. And basically that is how much you're jumping from one class to the next. So the first class starts at 0, and then the next class starts at 20,000, and then we jump to 40,000, 60,000, 80,000, 100,000, 120. So each of these are jumping by 20,000. And then we want to identify class boundaries. We have the lower class boundary, and we have the upper class boundary. You begin by taking the lower limit minus 0.5 and the upper limit plus 0.5. So if I was being asked to find the lower boundary of the second class, you would go to the second class, which is up here. You take the lower limit, 20,000, and you minus 0.5. That gives you 19,999.5. If we wanted the upper boundary of the second class, you take the upper limit, which was 39,999, and you add 0.5, and you get 39,999.5 as the upper boundary. Next, we're going to discuss how to find the class midpoints. So to get the class midpoints, you take the two lower limits of two classes, add them together, and divide by 2. So the first class starts at 0. The second class starts at 20,000. You add those together, divide by 2 to get the first midpoint, which gives you 10,000. And then to find the next midpoint, all you have to do is add the class width. So the first midpoint was 10,000. And then you take that first midpoint and add the class width, 20,000. And then you take that class and add another 20,000. You just keep adding 20,000 all the way down. Or you can still stick with the formula, add the two classes, divide by 2 to get the midpoint. That's your preference. The next column is frequencies. Well, the frequency was already given from the original table, so we're just going to right-click, copy, right-click, paste. The next column wants us to find the midpoint times frequency. So equal your midpoint times your frequency. Press enter. And then in the bottom right corner, that plus, you're just going to drag the formula down. So x times f is the numerator for the mean for this formula. The next step, it says you want to take the sum of that multiplication. So we're finding the sum of this column. So that gave us the sum of x times f. The denominator in our mean says we need n. N represents the total frequency. So we're going to find the sum of the frequency column. And then to find the mean, you divide those two values. The sum of x times f divided by the total frequency. And the mean is represented as your x bar. So now to fill in the next column, we need the midpoint minus the mean. So equal, click the midpoint minus the mean. Now, when you click and drag this formula, you see what happens with the mean? It's not consistent. So in order to make sure that when we click and drag the formula that the mean doesn't change, you type equal midpoint minus the mean, and then you want to put a $ in front of the letter and a $ after the letter. That way the mean is stationary, so that when you click and drag your formula, the mean will always stay in the same spot. So now you can click and drag your formula. The next column wants you to take that previous column and square it. So equal, parenthesis, click the previous column, Shift 6, 2 to square it. Click and drag your formula. The next column says you're going to take the previous column and multiply it times the frequency. So equal the previous column times the frequency. Drag the formula. Now we can use the formula for standard deviation. Let me erase this real quick. Okay. So the next step is when we look at this formula, it says we need to find the sum of x minus the mean squared times the frequency. So that means we need to take the sum of this column. So we're going to type equal sum of this column. The denominator says n minus 1. Remember that n equals the total frequency. So we're going to do equal the sum of your frequency, close parenthesis, minus 1. And then we're going to divide those. And that will provide us the variance. So to get the variance, you press equal this column, this sum divided by this sum, press enter. And then the last step to get the square root is you take, the last step to get the sample standard deviation, we take the square root of the variance. So you type equal SQRT for the abbreviation of square root, open parenthesis, click the variance, close parenthesis, press enter. And there you have it. We found the mean, we found the variance, and we found the standard deviation.